Olly, thanks for joining us. A couple of days after the Lancs game and the day before the Hampshire game, but let's look backwards, because sometimes it's not great to look backwards, but we're going to look backwards on this one because it is good. So talk to me a little bit about kind of the feeling after the game, when obviously first win of the season at Trent Bridge. How was it in the dressing room?
Yeah, it was obviously great. The boys were very happy with the performance, and to come off the back of 4 days hard graft with that win was special, and it was a nice feeling, sat out on the outfield all together, just enjoying a drink after and soaking up that win. It was very special, and we thought as a team we finally put together an all-round performance, which we obviously hadn't done probably at the start of the year.
Because we spoke to Haas before that game, and we were kind of talking about how we hadn't quite got that W on the board, but there'd been some significant kind of contributions in every game. And it wasn't no different during the Lancs game, really. No,
and I feel like that's where in the previous games people have stepped up at different times, but as a collective we'd never put together that all-round performance, and I feel like we showed glimpses of it at Warwickshire, obviously with it being weather affected, but here over the last 4 days we really pulled together as a unit, and everyone stepped up at certain times and obviously showed their class, and I think that's why we came out on the end of that result and came away with a win rather than maybe a draw or even a loss.
So with your performance in particular, we could talk about you with the ball and the bat. So let's start with the ball. Yourself and Dylan running in together opposite ends, it feels like quite a menacing attack to face. You grin. Is that something that you guys are aware of? Is it something that you work on deliberately without giving too much away?
I mean, I think when you've got an attack that can bowl with that high pace, it is exciting, and people do. I mean, batters obviously face it, but at times you can fear it. And to have two of us running in and Dill bowling the way he is at the moment, it's very exciting. I think I'm probably more of the aggressor in terms of the way I go about stuff. Obviously, Dill's taken the wickets and obviously shown his class. He's probably a bit nicer maybe on the field than I am at sometimes, but not in a bad way. I think to have both of us fit and firing at the moment always helps. And then when you've got the likes of Dane and Lyndon who are chomping at the bit once we need a rest to come in and keep going, it's a brilliant situation to be in. And obviously the likes of Luke Fletcher and that sat on the sidelines chomping at the bit. It's a great position to be in at the moment.
And the other contribution obviously was with the bat this game. You and Haas out there as a bit of a super duo. Close to the triple figures? Yeah,
I think unfortunately I just ran out of steam. I mean, being at the crease, I think it was for nearly 4 hours, is something probably I've not done a lot. I pride myself on my batting, and obviously scored a few runs in the second team and never quite been able to transfer it into the first team. And I've always known I could perform like that, and to come off obviously in an important part of the game with Haas to be able to get us in a position to go for that win was obviously really pleasing. And I said actually the night before in the car to someone that one thing I want to do before I retire is to tick off a first class 100. So then get that close is obviously frustrating. But I mean, if someone said you'd scored 90 at the start of the day, I'd have snapped their hand off. So very pleasing, and hopefully a few more runs this year as well.
So obviously you had the opportunity to stand at the opposite end to Haas as he was building through his figures as well. And there is kind of no writing off the actual contribution that the two of you made together to get to that win. But what was it like watching Haas at that stage?
I mean, the way he goes about stuff is credit to him. He obviously hasn't had the start to the season as he'd probably like, but we all knew the way he can be as a player, and the fact that he went out there and was just... He never really, I'd say, got out of second gear.
He doesn't look like he breaks a sweat.
That's the thing, and that's like credit to him. Whether he was on 0 or 150, he still plays the same way. And as a bowler, that can be very frustrating. You then start trying to search and trying to think, well, he's not playing at that delivery, so I'm going to have to try something different, and then hits it to the boundary, and then before you know it, you're trying to chase the game. So yeah, the way he went about it was unbelievable. And just batting with him in the middle, some people at the end of overs, you get a little bit of banter or something like that. But Haas is just very in his own bubble.
Yeah.
Like, keep going, very simple.
Yeah.
So it was a bit different situation for me to be in because I'm a bit more relaxed. But credit to him, he never changed in the whole of his innings. So yeah, it was unbelievable.
So those 2 games back to back, and obviously off the back of a win, does that kind of euphoria almost continue through, or is it a stop and start again?
I mean, you'll take things from the last game and try not to get too carried away and look too far ahead. And I feel like we spoke this morning about how we were as a team and how well we performed, and how do we recreate that only 3 days later.
Yeah.
Obviously it comes thick and fast, and it's a long 4 days, and hopefully we turn up and keep doing the same things again, because that's what the great teams do.
Yeah.
And it's how they go about doing that is the reason why teams are successful. So we spoke about, yes, we want to look back and how well we performed, but how do we carry that on into this game against Hampshire, which is another big game. And obviously the last few years we probably haven't been on the right end of results against Hampshire, so that's one thing we're looking to put right this week. And yeah, like said, go one step forward and try and keep climbing that ladder.